Okay. All right. So, welcome to another painting. I started this painting a little bit ago, and I am now starting to want to share it in the process and give you a little bit of my thoughts and a little bit of my whispers when you hear me do the painting as well. So this first part of the painting was all about getting the background on. Through the painting, I used a lot of pastel colors, and the pastel colors were very, 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 very good. And I mixed them. So how I did this is I took a color from my palette that was next to me, and I mixed the colors on the canvas to get a more muted, little softer tone to the color. As I was mixing these paints on the canvas, I didn't really know what I was going to do with the actual painting. But I did know that I wanted this painting to be something that was relaxing. So I started out with a muted color. I used a lot of whites to mix with the different blues and pinks and reds that I was using to get the background. I had a couple of photos that I was picking from. I didn't really know which one I was going to do, but a little bit about my painting process is when I started painting, I just kind of get into the flow state and try to hone in on my artists that I was looking up the most recently. On this painting, I was thinking about a lot of impressionist painters, and like Monet and Edmund Cross and a lot of different painters that did a lot of painterly marks, and you could see the brush strokes. So that's where I got the idea to paint the background on mix the colors on the background itself, because I wanted to see the process. The next color I was adding was a bit of white. I think I didn't add enough white there, but a little bit more about me is I like to make sure that I'm using the right supplies when I'm painting. I use a lot of different paint brushes for my paints, but some of the paint brushes that I use are very, very important to the painting. I'm just going to get some of them now. So, some of the paint brushes I used for this painting was this color. This brush here. I think I was using this brush right now. This is by Blick, and this is called the Blick Scholastic Wonder White Round in the number 8. So this is the number 8 Wonder Round brush, and it's really, really important to use different sized brushes when you're painting. So for this small painting that's about an 8 inch by 10 inch size, I wanted to use this brush starting because this is not super small, but it is, I could have used a larger brush actually to help get the background on quicker, but This is the brush that I chose because I was feeling this brush at the moment. This brush I use for many, many different types of painting. So, a little bit about the painting itself is when I'm starting a painting, I want to try and use the largest brush I can. If I use the largest brush in the beginning, I can get a more broad tone of color and a better underpainting. An underpainting is the painting that happens in like a lot of bigger strokes, so I can get some just general color blocking of the background or of the bigger subject before I put any details on. I always try to use a fairly larger brush comparative to the size of the painting. For this painting, I like to use this size brush to start, and then I get smaller and smaller. So here are some different sizes of brush. So you can see that this size brush right here, is a little bit larger, a little bit larger than these other three. This one right here is a little bit smaller for some little smaller details. These two are also smaller for even finer, like the smallest details. A little bit less small details, a little bit more like larger details, and then like the largest details. If I were doing a really, really large painting, I would use much larger brushes than these. It just all depends on the size of the canvas that I'm using. Some people don't do that, but this is what I'm doing, so I'm telling you. These brushes that I use, some of them are synthetic. Actually, all of them are synthetic. I don't have very expensive brushes, so all of these are synthetic. Actually, no, this one's synthetic. This one is natural. And I think most of them are synthetic. So this is synthetic, this is synthetic, and this is synthetic. This one is natural. It doesn't really matter to me which ones I'm using, as long as the size of the brush is the right size. If you were a different kind of painter and less of a painterly painter, you might care if you're using a natural haired brush, which is a little coarser generally for me, or a synthetic haired brush, which is a little bit finer, maybe a little less absorbent, but I'm not really caring about the absorbency because I'm not a watercolor painter. I'm a acrylic painter. It's a little different for each person. Some of the things that I think about, or some of the things that I do while I'm painting. So a lot of times I like to keep it pretty quiet because I focus on the form and what it looks like. Sometimes music is kind of distracting, but if the music doesn't have much words in it, then it's not so bad at all. I do like to watch different movies or sometimes talk to people on Zoom when I'm in these. So that's why I have it turned off a little bit, where you can't really hear the paintbrush strokes. So I'm going to do some paintbrush strokes for you right here. So I'm going to start and keep painting with this, and as I go, you're going to start to see it really get blocked in. I really like this paintbrush here. I think I said I was using you back now. And I'm gonna keep doing some more petting. Oh, my cat is getting up now. Maybe I should pet him so he stays. Speaking of cats, I hope that you're enjoying this painting video and checking out some of my other cat videos and painting and drawing videos. I do like to do a lot of different kinds of art, and I like to do different cat videos as well. So you'll see a lot of my two cats in the videos. Currently, this is the gray and white cat. He's my newest cat. I've had for a little over a year, and he has fitted quite nicely. Quite nicely. So, while I'm doing the painting, whenever I am painting, I do tend to think about the animal that I'm painting. And if I'm doing a commission for somebody else, I tend to think if it was my cat, to try to commemorate and paint it in the best light possible. Because if it was my cat and I was painting them, I would have to make sure that it was the same likeness as the picture or the animal I'm using as reference. If I'm drawing or painting, and I need to go over an area, especially around key features of the animal, I tend to not be afraid and just repaint the area. He just jumped down. He'll come back up sometime. So sometimes when I'm doing a painting, I do tend to zone out a little bit because I want to really get a handle on making sure that everything is to order. And especially if it's for somebody else, they really do think it is of their cat or their dog or their parrot or anything that they want me to paint or draw. But generally, I have not had any complaints. I've had only praises. People are so amazed when I do paintings that sometimes the flaws I see in the paintings, they never see them, which is awesome. I just need to get better at doing them a little bit faster. Sometimes this one was quite fast, but I do need to get a little bit faster so I can do some more things on my own. This is one of my first paintings I was doing of a cat, and I didn't quite get the shadows down the way I wanted, so I did a very simple blue shadow with gray mixed in, maybe a little bit of purple, but this was before I added the reds for more of the shadows. For shadows, they're never just black. They're never just gray. They're always a warm tone or a cool tone. They're never just black. They're always black mixed with a red, or black mixed with a blue and a red. Never white and because it's very difficult to hang a canvas that's a thin canvas without just hanging it and just putting like 2 nails on the wall and then letting it rest on those 2 nails and then putting like 1 nail above holding it in place. I'm not saying it's impossible because I've done that, but I have noticed that it doesn't look as nice on the wall. So hanging it, having it in a frame, hanging on the wall, is a lot easier to do, and it just looks nicer. People like to buy things in frames, so it's ready to hang. Because if it isn't ready to hang, they're less likely to buy it. Also, things in frames look more expensive. So, that's my tip. If you want to sell your art, it's better to make sure that it's ready to hang, or that it's matted, meaning there's like a mat going around to picture frame. Just kind of like square it up like in like a triangle that makes it look like it has white borders around it. Makes it a lot easier to sell as well. What I have found is I go to my local framing place. I've been using, I like to go to Hobby Lobby. Now, Hobby Lobby is a great place to go to because, at least mine, I'm not sure about all of them, but my Hobby Lobby near me has a framing and matting section, and all of the matters and framers are very, very skilled. They like to do it a certain way that makes it super archival. So if you want to keep something around a long, long time, it keeps it archival. So I got most of my drawings matted. Not any of my paintings, because I like to float frame the paintings, meaning I like to just put it right in there and kind of adhere it to the backing of where the frame is, so there's a white background, so you can see the edges of my canvas panel in the frame, and there's a glass or plexiglass in front. A lot of times people respond well to something that is framed, as I said, so I would recommend doing it if you want to sell your work. It is heavy to frame everything, so I only frame the smaller things, like 11 by 17 or smaller, because otherwise it's very bulky and heavy to carry if you're doing outdoor shows or art shows like I do, and it's just a one-day event, so you have to put everything out, hang it on your wall, pack it back up, and put it back in your bins, and then carry it to your car to go home. So a lot of people who have taught me said that it's better to only put it in like mats, because they're not super heavy. They're just, really thick cardboard instead of heavy wood frame or metal frame. I use wood frames generally. Wood black frames. Black frames are more standard in my opinion, and look a little cleaner. But to each their own. If you don't have a ton of things to frame, space, then definitely frame everything and bring them with you to your art shows like I do. But if you have a lot to frame and it's hard to transport them, I would recommend not framing everything, just framing the small things. I use these plastic sleeves to put everything in that I'm not framing, to protect them from the water if it's raining, or just protect them from fingerprints. Because if you don't put them in plastic, they could get damaged, so that would be really sad. So please, please protect your artwork. Be cautious